Do you feel concerned consorting with Big Air in the way that you are right now?
I don't, you know.
You trust Big Air.
I feel good about it. Yeah. Well, Mother Nature's Big Air. It's good.
Yeah, there you go. And she'll tell you when you're wrong and kick you off.
It was fun researching the book. I learned a lot of things about air that I would never have known if I wasn't going down crazy rabbit holes, like how much rain cleans the air, lightning cleans the air, and there's like people that like flew planes into thunderstorms to take air quality readings, like crazy bananas, like brave stuff like that to learn this stuff.
Even though you're an expert in this topic, more than 99.9% of the people on Earth, you still learn new things writing your book.
I'm going to tell people I know a lot about air, and like I just keep learning new stuff. Like, man, it's pretty wild.
Maybe your next book can be advanced air quality topics.
Yeah.
And that sounds fascinating.
No, yeah.
We can put that on our list of books that should never exist. We have a coloring book, and then we're going to do a spin-off gift book that has covers of fake books that we just have the most fun developing. But yeah, advanced topics in mechanical ventilation. It's going on the list.
Yeah.
Right.
It can be a romance novel.
It would have to be like your biggest fan, advanced topics in air ventilation.
All right. We'll get there.
But,
Yeah, in our Cleveland warehouse, we have these fans.
Oh yeah.
And there's been a lot of like jokes, like we post on social media with the caption, "Our biggest fan," and it's this fan that's 4 feet tall. And I mean, it just never stops.
And then there was at one point in the winter, like all of the fans were put in a closet, and then they referred to it as the OnlyFans warehouse. And so like you open the door and it's just full of fans.
Only fans.
Hi, I'm Joe Elly, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 28 years.
I'm Ellie Blue, the vice president of Microcosm. We started this podcast to share what we've learned with newer publishers, so you can learn from our mistakes. Or maybe you just want to learn about the publishing industry.
This week, we welcome first-time special guest and brand new Microcosm author, Melissa Wrolstad, author of the Air Self-Care Handbook, which, I mean, it's about time somebody challenged Big Air in cleaning it all up. So, Melissa, can you tell us what possessed you to write this book?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, it's not a small thing to write a whole book, especially if that's not your regular gig, So, yeah, I was, when I was a kid, I had asthma. Like I was like the little kid that finished the mile and had the inhaler and like did all the nebulizer stuff and, and then, still have had problems breathing, sometimes as an adult. And like, then I got into this profession of like green buildings, healthy buildings, and, went to engineering school and just like learned a bunch of stuff about how you can actually do things with your air if you pay attention and learn about it. And I was like, oh my God, why did I never know this before? And then I realized everybody that I like care about doesn't know it. And I was like, I think someone needs to write a book. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess that's me. So here we go. And it took a really long time. But I'm so happy to have found you guys to make it happen and that it didn't have to be super boring. So
no, and that's what I love about your book. It's a book about indoor air quality that is not boring.
Yeah.
Like I feel like pulling that off is an amazing feat. Can you talk to us, I guess? We should probably talk about air quality and stuff, but I'd love to know more about your writing process. How did you make it interesting? What was your method there?
That's key.
Yeah, well, I do, like, I'm an engineer by training, I work in, technical writing kind of stuff, and everything is very boring. And you start to realize that nobody pays attention or learns, and everybody's making mistakes, and no one understands basic concepts. And in my side life, when I don't have to be making money doing official things, I've done a lot of like gaming and like, fun stuff and, and just kind of watch people learning through like enjoying what they're doing, like I had a friend whose kiddo like was like 7, wasn't really reading until he wanted to play this game. And then he like read the whole manual. And it's just like, okay, I feel like there's a certain way of presenting things where it actually starts going in. And for the folks that I want to know this stuff, like they are not going to read anything that is depressing or super boring. So I don't know. I just, it's a very Melissa way of explaining air quality, I guess.
So like you used your authentic voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially there's a whole chapter which we can chat about on mechanical ventilation, which I don't know the amount of times I've said that term to someone and their eyes just glaze over. And I know that none of my words are going anywhere into their brain. So that whole chapter is a children's book, basically. And I couldn't believe that you guys let me keep it that way. But I was just like, I feel like with the people I'm trying to tell this to, that is the way to make it go in. Because there's something about the simplicity of that form, where you can see the little fox dying because he made a mistake, we're like, okay, I think I get this concept now. So I was just really happy to be able to portray things in certain ways.
Yeah. And I think about that too. Like a good writing is taking a complicated concept and making it not seem complicated. And it sounds like, so what is, I'm sorry, I fell asleep. Did you say mechanical airflow?
Yeah, you weren't paying attention. It's true.
What is that?
No, I know. I mean, and it's just crazy bananas. It's called mechanical ventilation. It's like this term. It just the sound of it makes you want to like clock out and just go on vacation or something. But like, it's really like fresh air coming into your building and bad air going out, and like how that happens. And like, if you do anything except opening a window, like you have like a fan or like a, equipment that's involved, that makes it mechanical. Ventilation is when the air is coming in and going out. And like, it's so important. And yet it's just, you hear that term and people are like, I'm not even gonna, anything. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, if you were like, let's talk about fandom or fans.
Oh, fandom. That's a good pun. I like.
I'm interested in that.
So your fans, I guess you've got this all set up.
Yeah. How do you like handle your fans?
If you read the book, you'll have all these ideas on like experimenting where you live or in your building on where to put the fans to make everything, fresh air everywhere, which is the ideal situation.
Yeah, let's go back to the beginning. So like, how do our homes and buildings and offices get unhealthy air, and like what are the things we should be looking out for, like the most important things we should be looking out for?
Yeah, well, there can be so many different situations. Like, that's why I wanted to just like lay them all out in the book, because every time I talk to someone, they have a very different situation. Like Joe, some of our first back and forth was like mold. My neighbors, it was radon. My friend, it was CO2. Like it just really depends on your space, and even different rooms in this same building can have very different situations. So like, you kind of have to like know how to find out what's going on. Obviously there's some like major things that probably people have heard about, like carbon monoxide and radon and some of the like stuff that'll just kill you, like really fast, you want to know about. But then there's like all this stuff that it's like, if you're exposed to it a lot for years, because it's just in your house, like it's really bad for you, and some of that is like the mold stuff, or like it could be cleaning stuff. It could just be that like you have these mechanical ventilation systems, but you didn't really want to learn about them because it felt hard, and they got into really funky condition, and now they're just blowing dust through your house, and like you got to fix those. And it could just be so many different things. I will say one of the biggest things is you got to remember to open your windows sometimes. And you got to know how to check how good the air is outside before you do that. So, if you just remember two things, those are kind of the things, So anyway, I could talk about this ad nauseum, but I would say that's a good beginning.
Well, I mean, it's good. You're an expert, and you've done the like noble expert thing of taking a very specialized expert craft and knowledge base, and then distilling it to a way that other people could understand it, which honestly is like what any good book does. But so I grew up in Cleveland, and not to brag, but Cleveland, our air was so bad that we created the Environmental Protection Agency when the federal government needed to step in and say, like, you can't do that. And so that was an early education for me in, I guess, what both not to do, and that, like, nobody was really asking questions about what that level of industrial pollution was doing to people's bodies, or if they were kind of seeing that as like an acceptable trade-off for vast industrial growth 100 and 200 years ago. So, like, how do you interface that? I guess we're kind of now cleaning up the Industrial Revolution.
There's a lot of things happening in the world. Yeah, like the EPA really put some things in place that were novel. There's things like acid rain people don't talk about that much anymore. There's things that have happened with vehicles where, like, now it's like debatable if the most vehicle pollution comes from actually the tailpipe or the tires, because they've cleaned things up so much. And then things are going backwards in some places, and the Industrial Revolution in some countries is just blossoming now. And now that it's kind of an interesting time for that to be happening, because there's a lot more air sensor stations around the world, and you can kind of see there are these cities where it's just like wildly bad all the time, and most of them are not in the US, so you're like, oh dude, I think the EPA did a lot of good in some ways, Yeah. And there's a lot of uncertainty with how much regulation we're gonna have going forward. And so anyway, another reason to read the book, because we kind of have to take care of ourselves to a certain degree, and the book kind of talks about, like, what if I am in that bad city? Like, what are my choices? Should I just move? Are there ways I can take care of this? Like, how do I make decisions based on what's happening? If something changes, if it, maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll get worse, and then what can I do for myself?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that in terms of like the wildfires that we've been having out west the last few years. Like every summer, there's some days where you just like keep everything shut up tight and don't go outside. But then you're like, am I really going to open a window? Wait, how do I get fresh air? There is none to be had. And
yeah, there's like a certain amount of days of shutting up your house that's okay, until it's like, well, I don't know, like, because I live in upstate New York, and so we're like pretty close to Canada, and like those wildfires in Canada, like we were real close to that. And for a while, anyway, in the book I talk about tracking weather patterns. You can see when the wind is just coming from a certain direction, just all the smoke coming directly over my house, and it was like, if it had been more than 4 or 5 days in that,
our industry is run by billionaires and conglomerates.
At Microcosm, we wanted the freedom to independently sell our books, easily pay royalties, manage our inventory, and understand our business all in one place.
That's why we've been using our own software since 2001.
Now, we want to share it with you.
Working Lit is the only business success software that is created and owned 100% by publishers for publishers.
Join Working Lit and get the agency you need to help your business grow.
Visit workinglit.com to try it for free.
I track all the things in my house, like CO2 levels and stuff like that. And that, if it had been 1 or 2 more days, I'm like, we got to go. We just got to go somewhere else for a while till this clears out, because I don't know, at a certain point we can't like breathe in here anymore, gotta get out.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's a pretty good primer, like there are consequences, like you're probably not aware of all the choices you're making. So what are some simple things that people can do who are maybe having or worried that they're having a serious health problem and aware that they could know more, in addition to obviously reading your book?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will say in the book, I don't really talk about specific health problems. Like, if you have something like I found out as an adult, they were like, actually, we don't think you have asthma. You have like a dust allergy, and that really helped me like start managing specifically dust in my air, because I found out what my body was reacting to, in a specific way. So obviously go see someone like that can tell you about your health, because I'm not going to do that. I was just thinking about, what questions are they going to ask me? And I was like, man, there's just a lot of stuff that I just don't want to learn about or know about. And one of those is all the different things that can go wrong with your lungs. So, have someone else help you with that. But, I think starting to check the outdoor air quality, like kind of when you check the weather, is a really good thing. And even like some of the weather apps now just have the air quality on them. It's really cool. My regular air quality app, started having too many advertisements where I couldn't even see what the weather was going to be. So I was like, I have to switch. And I was starting to like look through new weather apps, and like a good number of them started to have the air quality just like on them, like the pollen levels, the air quality, the UV levels. It's like one of those things that they're starting to include. And so, you can just like check that every day to kind of see what the outdoor situation is and get familiar with places around you that do really good air filtration. So if there's a funky day, you know where to go. I mean, that's really good basic stuff. Also, like, I keep a couple of the N95 masks around from when everyone had COVID, like, because those masks do a lot more than filter out COVID stuff. Like, they do a lot of the particulate matter in the air, like when it's real dusty. There's a couple other things they're really good for. So having a couple of those on hand can be handy if there's just like a super wildfire smoke day or, something that's similar to that. They can be good.
So the N95s are the ones, not those old cloth masks that still smell like bad teeth.
You laugh, so that tells me that Elly is right.
So, like, I think, I don't know, like all masks, they have capabilities. It's really good to know what the capabilities of your mask are. There's a section of the book where I'm like, here's a bunch of different levels of masks or different types of masks and why you would have different masks, like the cloth ones, just, it really depends on how good they are, how well they were made, what they're made out of. Some of them, people using crazy stuff that can poison you. I mean, like maybe don't start with those if you don't have to. It's better to go to something that's standardized and been tested so you know what you're getting into.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it does seem like there are a lot of rabbit holes we could fall down into with this stuff. And I personally look forward to falling down all of them now.
Yes.
Talking, stuff about like equipment and apps and masks and cleaning supplies,
habits, conditions. Yeah, like what to monitor, how to monitor it. Oh yeah, so much fun.
I know.
Is there do you have a favorite rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of what I've put together is stuff that exists somewhere. It's just never really been like put together in a digestible way. But the one part of the book that I feel like I wrote from scratch that I feel kind of proud about is like this piece about like, let's say, you said I can swear on this podcast. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're totally fucked. Like there's just the factory blew up where they make all the, the shoe polish, like your car broke down. You're kind of stuck in this horrible situation. Like the strength of your lungs is important. So, like, let's talk about like taking care of our lungs like today and getting as strong as we can get. And I just have like a whole list of ways to strengthen your lungs, including like singing, humming. Like there's lots of ways, things you can do that are like good. Learning how to relax, like all these things you can do to be ready for like a poor air quality event. Cause just sometimes that's just where you're at. Just happens. So
I love that.
Yeah, I like that. So, I mean, there's like for a lot of professions, there's sort of a trope that you are an expert and you're really good at helping other people with this problem, but then maybe you go home and you have like some neglectful aspects in your own profession, like the plumber with the leaky pipes. It doesn't sound like you suffer from this.
Oh, Joe, I think, I do get behind on changing out my air filters on a regular basis. Like it's just I kind of wait till I remember, and then I'm like, oh, it was supposed to be every 6 months. Like, and then I open them up, and there's just all the cat hair, just like I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah, we might know something about having hair everywhere.
One person in particular, yes.
Who's sitting on my lap right now, looking very innocent.
oh.
But so, I mean, and I guess part of the problem with your profession is like it can always be better. Like there's not like it's not like a binary good or not good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like in the beginning of the book I talk about like healthy eating. Like everybody like knows so much about healthy eating and you can always do better, but at least we all know the basics. And I'm like, there's none of that for air right now. Like that's it's the same with air. Like you can always be a little bit better, but like at least we should all know the basics, So that's part of what I want to get this book out there for, just in case we can start making that like some standard education. Like let's just know the basics of air care.
So is it really dangerous for your health to have a dusty house or office? I'm asking for a friend.
So, again, I'm not like a health expert person, but like, some people are like allergic to dust like me, and it's a very common allergy. So for those friends and family, it's not good. But then like kind of a side way, there's a lot of research on what's called PM 2.5, PM 10, which is like particulate matter. That's what the PM stands for, particulate matter. And 2.5 and 10, that's like the size of how big the dust pieces are. And it could be made up of anything. Like, a lot of dust in the house is like skin, flakes, just like, or like pet dander, it could be like anything. It's just a little crap in the air, right? So the problem with little crap in the air is that it can get really deep into your body. So it doesn't necessarily matter what it is, but it like can go like into the bottom of your lungs because it's too small for your nose to catch it. It can go, and then from the bottom of your lungs, like into your bloodstream, especially the smaller it is, and just crap in your bloodstream floating around just isn't good. So, it's not great. And I have a little section on like, sometimes it's like on the shelf, but like it's very easy to accidentally disturb it on the shelf, and all of a sudden it's all in the air, right? So we just want to kind of keep it out so they can't get in the air very easy.
You paint a very vivid picture. I had a moment of clarity the other day. I decided I was thinking about this podcast, and I was like, I'm going to clean the filters on the mini splits at work, which I think I last did when did we have them installed?
2020.
I might have done it once in 2021. Anyway, so I took them out, and then the one upstairs in our somewhat neglected and unused office was like a little bit dusty. The one downstairs in the like warehouse where all the books are and the people are moving around was just like caked with dust. And I like washed them and scrubbed them down in the sink. And then I put them back in, and then the air smelled horrifically of dust. Like, I think I just didn't do a very good job of cleaning them, or maybe they actually need to be replaced at this point. But I guess like the thing that I was thinking about was like a lot of people with sensitivities to dust, or like I have sensitivity to mold. We had mold in our house. I couldn't do any of the cleaning or rehab for it because I was the one. Like it gets it in the air and it makes you sick. So like, do you have advice, I guess, for people who have these sensitivities? Like, how do you keep your house dust free when you're allergic to dust? It seems like a great contradiction.
It's like it's a really good question. I mean, some of it is like I keep an air purifier going, so like that is pulling it out of the air without me touching anything. There is equipment out there that's better, like vacuum cleaners. You can get them with the HEPA filters so that when they're like pulling the dust out, it's not like kicking dust in the air as it's like picking up bigger stuff, or I don't know. A lot of my professional life is like on construction sites. It's not necessarily in houses, but they'll do something where they kind of wet the dust before they pick it up so that it doesn't kick up into the air. And there's ways to kind of keep it down before you touch it or work with it, so it's not, like if you're just sweeping, that stuff's just like most of it's just getting kicked up, right? So there are ways to kind of keep it down before you remove it. And sometimes you may just need someone else to do it for you.
Yeah. That's a good. So again, Cleveland is maybe recovering in a dust capacity beyond what one might hope for someone's breathing air. But so, and the part of that is like a lot of times they're doing building demolition, and when like they're knocking a building down, there's fire hoses on it to contain the dust. And still 3 blocks away, you're just like walking into a cloud, and it's, that was the first time I encountered that. That was really illuminating because I was like, okay, right. It's not like it just goes up and comes down. It's like, it's everywhere. And, obviously like that's happening in all of our environments all the time on a micro level that we can't see. But it is interesting on a, thinking about it in your home where the air is circulating and, like in a particulate matter scale. So, I guess how are there good monitoring devices that like somebody could install in their home to be like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Great question, Joe. Yeah, in the book, I kind of step you through the different levels of monitoring you can do in your home.
We built this software from scratch to solve our own problems starting in 2001.
It's not only the reason for our survival, but the reason we've been a Publishers Weekly fastest growing publisher 3 years in a row.
Now, we want to share it with you.
Join Working Lit and get back the agency to understand your publishing business, market and sell your books, and painlessly pay royalties.
Working Lit. Doing the math for publishers.
Visit workinglit.com to give it a try for free.
We can't all start with the most advanced stuff. That would be awesome. But I think like for me, there's, I just get I have one device that does pretty good monitoring, and I move it around my house and it measures the dust levels and, a couple other bad things ozone, which can get into our homes. It's kind of I think of it as kind of smog. It can come off of some cleaning chemicals. It can come in from outside, and it's something it's not good, especially for folks with asthma and stuff like that. But it also monitors CO2 levels, and then VOCs, which is just all kinds of chemicals in the air. And then sometimes it also does humidity levels, because especially if you're worried about mold, you don't want super high humidity, or also you don't want it to be super dry for other reasons. And so that's you could probably get kind of a crappy one for less than $100. Mine's more like $200. You can research and find one, but you can use it any place in your house to get to work, run it and kind of get an idea of do I have anything that's kind of out of whack? Or, I do like having it around because sometimes there is the wildfire event, or they do knock down the building down the road. And I'm how much of that is getting in my house? I don't know, and you can kind of see how much is getting in your house, because maybe it's not, because the wind is blowing it the other direction, which sometimes you luck out and weather helps you out and it moves everything somewhere else to somebody else's house, but sometimes it blows it right towards your house, and you want to kind of have an idea, because it might be oh my God, maybe I need to get an air purifier today, because of just what's happening with them knocking down that building, because once that stuff's in your house, it's in your house. We're just talking about how difficult it can be to clean the dust out of your space, and just a couple days of a bunch of crap coming through can take a really long time to clean. And even I don't know, if you've been in a home where someone smokes a lot or something, some of their stuff might smell kind of forever, right?
Yeah.
And so some of this stuff, not that it's necessarily permanent, but it can be pretty close, so you just don't want it in your house to start with.
Okay, and honestly, $100 or $200 for nobody's gonna buy that just on a whim. That's going to be somebody that's concerned about the issue, maybe has a reason to be concerned about the issue. That's
or they're a big nerd.
Yeah, or they just really want to manage their environment, which that's cool too.
I know. I was my birthday is coming up, and just
oh, I see how it is. Okay. So yeah, I feel like that's, and it's a small commitment if you're interested in that. Like, yeah. So, you would suggest somebody like reading your book to understand the issues, and then maybe monitoring things, and like, I guess it's even just like the book will teach you what you need to care about based on your situation, really.
Yeah, because some people live in like Australia, where there may just not be radon at all, because Australia has some really interesting ground that just doesn't give off radon. Or you might live upstate like me, where it's like super high radon levels, And then for me, I know I need to check that, but I might not need to worry about so much ozone because I'm not in a city with a bunch of like vehicle smog situations, whereas that person needs to do something completely different, like we have a radon system, they may need like, carbon filter, air purifier, and so like the book kind of helps you kind of navigate and start figuring out what it is you need to pay attention to. Because for some people it's like, I converted this part of my basement into this certain type of space, and like they didn't think about ventilation, right? And it's like, oh, actually working on your film stuff down there, you could just poison yourself because there's like no fresh air and you just have a lot of chemicals, and like, we're like, okay, wait, no, I need to rethink through this. So I think it'd be something a little different for everybody. In the book, I hope, broadly covers all the basics. So
I mean, any book that's the first of its kind is going to be a broad overview.
And, I checked it out. It seems to cover all the basics.
That's what you want. And that creates room for somebody else to come in and be like, that book didn't go into nearly enough detail about the XYZ topic, which is not a failing of your book, but which is a prompting for them or maybe you to write another more specific book to continue to serve the audience of people that are now obsessed with air quality thanks to your first book.
People get hyper specialized on the heels of, and it's like a cool thing about starting a conversation.
Yeah, I know. Like a couple of friends were like, oh, what are you going to write about next? I'm like, dude, you could write entire encyclopedias on any of these specific topics, and I just don't know what's my favorite.
Mechanical ventilation, obviously the most interesting topic.
Mm-hmm. It might be hard to keep the fans away, but you do what you have to
do.
So tell us a little more about you're an engineer, you have a focus on air quality. How did you get into engineering? How did you get into all of this?
I mean, I don't know, a long time ago, Ellie, I was like the little kiddo that we raised money from lemonade stands to save the rainforest. I don't know. I was always a very environmental kid. And then, you become an adult and you want to go to music school and your parents are like, I don't think so. And then you're like, well, I like math and physics. And they're like, well, you could be a physics major or an engineer. And engineering I like applying stuff. So I was like, okay, I think I'll go into engineering. So I ended up in engineering and wanting to do environmental stuff, and ended up doing some water quality stuff and some solar decathlon stuff, building green buildings, and ended up after school doing wastewater engineering for a little while, which was not the place for me. And then after that, I got into green building consulting, and that's when I started to get exposed to, all these different things. I mean, there's just so much stuff in green buildings and healthy buildings, and I like air the best. So I just kind of dove into that. Yeah, I mean, I had asthma as a kid. I think it's just so interesting. I also think it's just shocking how little people know about air. So that's why I thought I would start there.
That's true. We all know about solar panels, and we all have opinions about them. Some of them more or less informed. But it's
Partially
true.
informed.
Air we kind of take for granted. It's literally the air we breathe.
It's all around us. Be fine.
It's invisible. Ideally.
But that's why I have a whole section on if there was an evil supervillain, here's all the ways they could kill you very quickly using air, and it would all look the same as your healthy air. It all looks the same. That's one of the problems with this air stuff, is bad air looks the same as good air. I mean, sometimes you get the wildfire smoke and you're like, I see that, I see that's bad air, but then everyone's like, oh, it's only bad if it looks like that. But most bad air looks nothing like that. It looks just like regular air. So you got to measure it in other ways and be kind of savvy to those ways.
Yeah.
What are there any like hot topics or controversies in air quality engineering right now?
I would say something that's kind of a hot topic. I serve on the air advisory at the International Well Building Institute. It's one of my hoity-toity credentials.
Right.
And yeah, I think right now the world of air sensors and, like how good are the sensors and how accurate do they need to be and where do we need to put them to really get a clear reading? Because like an air sensor, like the quality of the air can vary in your room. There's like where everybody's standing, we're all breathing in and out, like all these germs and breathing the oxygen and out CO2. And then like at the ceiling, it can be totally different, right? Because if the air's not mixing, and so if someone puts their sensor at the ceiling and they're like, your air is amazing, but really where people are breathing, it's a different quality air. I mean, like how useful is that sensor? And that now
That's
it's
a
how
good
it's all
point.
be sensing and, how good are the sensors and
Right. Yeah. You run into this a lot, like with all kinds of things where, you're just not monitoring the right thing in the right place.
I think about like my oven temperature. My oven tells me what temperature it is, but where in the oven is that? Because it's not where the oven thermometer is.
And it's not where the food is sometimes. So some, like a hot topic of some years ago was like, are electric vehicles actually cleaner than internal combustion vehicles? Are we just like sending the bad air somewhere else? Like, is this the kind of thing you wrestle with in your board work?
Or your interested work?
Right now, I would say I'm not going through electric vehicles a whole lot. Yeah. That's that is a very interesting topic, very, very broad, because it's also like, I mean, a little bit in the book I touch on like, so like I clean up the air at my house, but that's all powered by very dirty factories, so I'm paying for all these extra filters and like all this extra air purification, but like by using this extra electricity, like, am I just, is that all coming from a coal power plant that's, not regulated or something, and making things really dirty for my neighbors. So a little bit I touch on that kind of thing, but not so much. I mean, you could write books and books and books on that.
Yeah, seems like a great tragedy of our times that, in order to stay cool, you have to run your air conditioner, which heats up the air around your house. And
And we've played SimCity, so like we know the consequences of our actions downwind.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Like true 90s. Do engineers play SimCity? Is this a thing?
I think probably some of them do. The ones that I spend the most time with are more like board gamers. So like there's this great, very long board game called Power Grid. I can't believe I'm putting in a plug for Power Grid, but it's really interesting about like different kinds of power and what do I want to pay for with the payback and like how do I win and have the most energy with like the least pollution and the least expense. Yeah, it's actually fun, or it was fun for me.
Fun.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. Okay,
thanks for the recommendation.
I like that. Yeah, will play.
Well, I know that all your friends are asking you this, and you could write an encyclopedia about every chapter in the book. But do you have like a next project brewing or a dream of an idea?
What's your vision? Like, what would you do? Because it seems like you're feeling like you're like a person in service to other people.
Yeah.
That maybe is like directing your vision a little bit.
Which is not bad.
Yeah, that's not a bad. Yeah, I don't mean to frame it that way.
I mean, I would love to teach. I enjoy like being in person with folks where they can ask questions. I mean, like, I think I know everything people would want to know. And I tried to, cram as much of it into the book as possible. And I did ask some very wonderful people if they had more questions to help inform the book. But it's also fun when you get to hear people's individual questions, because then they're learning what they want to learn. So I'd love to do some teaching. At some point, I'd love to write another book. Right now, I'm working on a creative thing. It might just be a personal project. We'll see. But It's about like fairies. Yeah. Anyway, that's a very separate thing.
All right.
Yeah, but
I hope you can bring air quality into that somehow.
Yeah, someone was like, you do air, fairies. It's all, you're an air sign. It's all very connected. I was like, it is connected.
Do you know any air quality jokes that you want to share with the audience? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, wow. No, I feel like I only know one joke, and you know what? It is not totally disconnected from my book, and it came off of a popsicle stick, and I think I learned it when I was like 9, and it was like, remember those little popsicles? You'd eat the popsicle to hear the end of the joke, and it was why do bees hum? Because they don't know the words.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I talk about humming in the book. It's really good for clearing out your, nasal passages, strengthening your lungs. Yeah, it's good.
Topical humor. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. I like it. A joke you can learn when you're 9 can like have resonance in adulthood.
Well, do you have any parting words of wisdom for our listeners, readers?
I created this book for people I care about and their pets. So, it might be good to share with your loved ones what you learn. So, yeah.
That's very charming. Yeah.
That. And it kind of shows that you care about all your readers too.
And like everybody has loved ones. So like everybody needs this book. All right. Well, there we go.
Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub.
On Twitter at Microcosm.
On Facebook at Microcosm Publishing.
On Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
And here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.